U.S. pharmaceutical company Moderna is applying for approval from the Food and Drug Administration for its coronavirus vaccine. Moderna says the vaccine is 94.1% effective in protecting people from the virus and 100% effective at preventing severe COVID-19. If approved, the first shots could be administered before the end of the year. For more on this, I'm joined by our U.S. correspondent, Simon Marks. So Pfizer and Moderna are moving fast on this, Simon. Let's start with the process and time it takes for the FDA to approve vaccines.
Well, the expectation here, Shahan, is that Pfizer's vaccine, because they applied for emergency authorization about a week earlier than Moderna, will see that authorization granted about a week earlier than Moderna, and that could come in the middle of December, with Moderna coming very rapidly thereafter. It's possible that some vaccine will be being jabbed into the arms of Americans by around December the 21st. Certainly, we think in time for Christmas. The Trump administration has set an ambitious goal of doling out 10 million jabs of vaccines, plural, by the end of the year. They are now pre-positioning stocks of those vaccines on the assumption that the FDA will grant the emergency authorization that is being sought by those two drug companies. And there's a parallel process underway at the Centers for Disease Control to try and determine who gets the vaccine after frontline workers and first responders. We know they're first in line. Who's second in line? There's a big tussle going on around that.
Yeah, it's quite hopeful to hear that by the 15th we could have this vaccine out there. So let's talk about the record high of 96,000 COVID-19 patients hospitalized in the U.S. as of Monday. Officials now worried about capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at what Governor Gavin Newsom of California was saying yesterday, he says that by Christmas Eve, every single intensive care unit bed in California, the entire state of California, will be occupied. And that's just one state struggling under these new numbers. In November alone, this country witnessed 4 million cases of new COVID-19 infections. That is more cases in 1 month alone than the vast majority of countries have notched up since the pandemic began. And that gives you an indication of how rapidly this is spreading, and it's being fueled by the failure of Americans to observe public health guidelines and warnings. We've just come out of the Thanksgiving holiday here. 5 million Americans ignored warnings about not flying to Thanksgiving getaways. 50 million Americans are estimated to have traveled last week, again, against the recommendations of the U.S. government, and the country is going to be paying a price for that in the weeks to come.
Yeah, and quickly, while people lose their lives and others are hospitalized, Donald Trump is doing what?
Absolutely nothing. I mean, there is a meeting of the COVID-19 Advisory Task Force at the White House today that's being chaired by Vice President Mike Pence, but the country hasn't heard one word from Donald Trump about COVID-19 other than the promotion of vaccines over the last couple of weeks. Instead, he continues to try and prove, without any success, that the election was stolen from him, even as the country is facing a much bigger factual issue to deal with, and that's the pandemic.
All right, thanks for that. Appreciate it. U.S. correspondent Simon Marks.